over the ancient lands of Tikrit. The golden light touched the calm waters of the Tigris River, and in a modest house near the riverbank, a baby's cry echoed, a sound that would one day shake empires. That baby was Yusuf ibn Ayyub, known to history as Salahuddin Ayyubi, the boy who became a king. His father, Najm ad-Din Ayyub, was a noble and brave man, loyal to justice and faith. His mother, a woman of kindness and wisdom, often whispered prayers over her son. She didn't know it yet, but her child was destined to unite the Muslim world and win the respect of even his enemies. From the very beginning, Salahuddin's life was not easy. His family had to flee Tikrit on the very night he was born. His father had defended an innocent man against a powerful ruler, and for that, the family was exiled. So before Salahuddin even saw the world clearly, he had already lost his home. His mother carried him in her arms as they left the city at dawn. The family rode through the desert with nothing but faith in their hearts. His father looked at the baby and said, "My son came into this world as we leave our home behind. Perhaps Allah has written for him a greater home, a greater purpose." Those words would one day come true. The early years learning beyond the sword. Growing up, Salahuddin wasn't like other boys. He was quiet, thoughtful, and more interested in books than battles. While other boys played with wooden swords, he would sit under the shade of a tree, listening to his teachers talk about history, justice, and faith. He loved stories about Prophet Muhammad, Pbuh, Khalid ibn Walid, and Umar ibn al-Khattab's men who lived with courage and honor. He dreamed not of being rich or famous, but of doing something meaningful, something that would please Allah and serve people. At that time, the Muslim world was divided. Different rulers fought for power instead of peace. And far away, armies from Europe, the Crusaders, had taken control of Jerusalem, the holy city. People spoke about heroes, but few were ready to become one. Salahuddin didn't know it yet, but destiny was quietly preparing him for that role. A young soldier in a divided world. When Salahuddin became a young man, he joined the army under his uncle Shirkuh, a strong general who served the ruler of Syria. At first, Salahuddin wasn't interested in war. He loved peace, he loved knowledge. But his uncle saw something in him, calm wisdom and strength of heart. "You don't have to love war," Shirkuh told him. "You only have to love justice enough to defend it." That sentence stayed with Salahuddin forever. He trained hard, learning not just how to fight but how to lead. He was patient, respectful, and kind even to his enemies. He never mocked prisoners or acted with pride. People began to notice the young man who carried both a sword and mercy in his heart. In battle he was brave. But after battle he was gentle. When the soldiers celebrated victories, Salahuddin prayed for peace. The turning point: the fall of Egypt. In those days, Egypt was a powerful land, but its ruler was weak. Shirkuh, along with Salahuddin, led an army to help Egypt restore order. The campaign was difficult. Hunger, sickness, and betrayal surrounded them. But Salahuddin remained calm. He encouraged the men when they wanted to give up. He gave food to the poor people of Egypt, even when his army was short on supplies. The Egyptians began to love him not because of fear but because of his compassion. After many struggles, Shirkuh won control of Egypt. But soon after he died, and Salahuddin was chosen as his successor. He was still young, only in his early 30s, but now he was the vizier of Egypt, the highest position in the land. The boy who once fled from his birthplace had now become a ruler of one of the richest lands in the world. But with power came new challenges. The first test of leadership. Many powerful men around him didn't like that a young outsider had become their leader. They tried to trick him, to push him into mistakes, even to have him killed. But Salahuddin ruled with patience and fairness. He opened the treasury for the poor. He repaired mosques. He made peace between the Shia and Sunni people of Egypt. He forgave those who plotted against him, saying, "I will not punish them for their jealousy. Let them see that justice is stronger than hate." Slowly, the hearts of the people turned toward him. He became not just a ruler, but a symbol of unity. The dream that changed his life. One night Salahuddin had a dream. He saw the city of Jerusalem, shining under the moonlight. He heard the call to prayer echo from Al-Aqsa Mosque, but it was faint, distant, as if calling him from across time and space. He woke up and said, "This is my purpose, not to rule for power but to free the land of the prophets." From that day his mission became clear. He would unite the Muslim lands, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and together, they would bring peace and justice back to the Holy City. It was the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Salahuddin but for the entire Muslim world. The rise of a leader, uniting the Muslim world. The morning sun broke over the city of Cairo. Salahuddin stood on the palace balcony watching the people of Egypt begin their day. Merchants opened their shops. Children ran through the streets. The call to prayer echoed from every corner. He smiled softly. Egypt was at peace again. But in his heart, one thought burned stronger than ever: Jerusalem. It was not power he wanted, not gold or fame. It was justice, unity, and the dream of seeing the holy city free once more. The weight of power. Salahuddin was now a powerful ruler, but he lived a simple life. He wore plain clothes. He ate what the common people ate. He prayed humbly in the mosque beside soldiers, scholars, and servants. People would ask him, "You are the ruler of Egypt, why do you live so simply?" He would answer, "Because this power is not mine, it is a trust from Allah and I must return it clean." That humility became his strength. Where other rulers sought pride, Salahuddin sought purpose. And that purpose was about to be tested. Enemies on all sides. The Crusader armies still ruled Jerusalem, Acre, and many parts of Palestine. They were strong, organized, and backed by kings from Europe. To the east, rival Muslim leaders in Syria and Iraq distrusted Salahuddin. They feared his growing power. Some even joined hands with the Crusaders to weaken him. But Salahuddin did not seek war for glory. He believed in peace through unity. He sent letters to other Muslim rulers, asking them to come together as one nation under one faith. Some refused, others mocked him. Yet slowly, through patience and wisdom, he began to win hearts instead of battles. Winning with mercy, not fear. Salahuddin was known for his kindness, even to his enemies. When Crusader prisoners were captured, his soldiers wanted revenge. But he stopped them. "Do not forget," he said, "we fight only to defend, not to destroy." He treated wounded enemies with medicine and respect. He sent food to hungry villages, even those that once fought against him. Soon even his enemies spoke his name with honor. In the Christian world, he became known as the noble enemy. One Crusader knight once said, "If the world had to have a ruler, let it be someone like Salahuddin." The battle for hearts. While others conquered with fear, Salahuddin conquered with faith. He built schools, hospitals, and mosques across Egypt and Syria. He encouraged learning and justice. He listened to scholars, respected elders, and rewarded bravery. Slowly, the divided lands began to come together. From Damascus to Mosul, people began to say, "There is one leader who fights for all of us, Salahuddin." He had no throne made of gold. His true throne was in the hearts of the people. A time of trials. But greatness never comes without struggle. When Salahuddin's father died, he grieved deeply. He had loved him not only as a father but as his teacher and guide. Still, he did not stop working. He reminded himself, "My father's dream was justice, I will carry it forward." At the same time, the Crusader king of Jerusalem, Baldwin IV, known as the Leper King, was preparing for war. Though young and sick, Baldwin was a brave ruler, and Salahuddin respected him. But others around Baldwin were not as noble. They broke treaties, attacked Muslim caravans, and burned villages. Salahuddin still held back, hoping for peace. But when a Crusader leader named Reynold of Chatillon robbed pilgrims and killed innocent people, even women and children, Salahuddin could no longer remain silent. He declared, "The sword of justice must rise not for revenge but for what is right." The march toward destiny. Year by year he gathered his forces. From Egypt came horsemen in shining armor. From Syria came archers and warriors. And from every corner of the Muslim world, people came not for gold but for faith. They marched under one banner. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. For the first time in many years, the Muslim world was united. And at its heart stood Salahuddin, not just a warrior, but a man of prayer, mercy, and unshakable belief. The Battle of Hattin, the turning point. The year was 1187. Near the small village of Hattin, two great armies met. The Crusaders came with their knights, banners, and heavy armor. Salahuddin's army came with faith, patience, and strategy. The day was hot, the Crusaders had little water. Salahuddin ordered his men to cut off their access to wells, forcing them into exhaustion. Before the battle began, he prayed, "O Allah, this is not my war, this is your cause, give us victory only if we deserve it." The battle lasted hours. Dust rose, swords clashed, and cries echoed across the hills. By evening, the Crusader army was broken. King Guy of Jerusalem was captured. Reynold of Chatillon, the man who killed innocent people, was brought before Salahuddin. Salahuddin offered him a chance to repent. Reynold refused, speaking with arrogance. Then Salahuddin drew his sword, and justice was done. The other prisoners were treated with respect. No revenge, no cruelty, only mercy. That day the banner of Salahuddin flew high, and the road to Jerusalem was open. The world watches. News spread like wildfire across deserts, seas, and kingdoms. The boy from Tikrit had become a legend. The divided had become united. The dream that began with exile was now leading to destiny. But one great test still remained: the gates of Jerusalem itself. The conqueror's heart, the liberation of Jerusalem. The wind carried the sound of marching feet across the land of Palestine. Salahuddin Ayyubi, once a quiet boy from Tikrit, now the most respected leader in the Muslim world, was on his way to the city that had lived in his heart for years, Jerusalem. Behind him rode thousands of soldiers. Beside him walked scholars, imams, and elders. And within him burned one single prayer. "O Allah, let me enter this city not as a conqueror filled with pride, but as a servant filled with gratitude." The road to Jerusalem. After his great victory at the Battle of Hattin, Salahuddin moved swiftly across Palestine. City after city opened its gates to him without a fight. The people had seen his justice and knew he would protect them. When his army reached Jerusalem, the Crusader forces prepared for a final stand. They locked the gates and swore never to surrender. But Salahuddin did not attack immediately. He sent a message to their leader. "I do not wish to destroy this holy city. Surrender it peacefully and no harm shall come to anyone." The Crusader leader refused. So Salahuddin surrounded the city. For days his men fought bravely but with restraint. He forbade his army from burning homes or harming civilians. Inside the walls, food was running out. Women and children cried from hunger. Finally, the defenders sent a message to Salahuddin: they would surrender if he promised mercy. Salahuddin agreed. When he entered Jerusalem, there was no bloodshed, no revenge, no destruction. Instead, he walked straight to Al-Aqsa Mosque, tears in his eyes, and fell to his knees in prayer. The city that had been taken by war was now reclaimed through mercy. Mercy for all. The people of Jerusalem feared what would happen next. They remembered how, when the Crusaders had taken the city 88 years earlier, they had killed tens of thousands of Muslims and Jews. But Salahuddin was not like other conquerors. He ordered his soldiers, "No house shall be looted, no person shall be harmed, whoever wishes to leave may leave safely." He allowed Christians to visit their holy places and even gave gold from his own treasury to those who could not afford to travel home. When one poor Christian woman approached him in tears, saying her daughter had been taken as a slave, Salahuddin immediately ordered his men to find her. When they brought the girl back, he personally reunited mother and child. The woman fell at his feet and cried, "This man shows mercy more than those who claim to follow the Prince of Peace." Stories like these spread across the world. Even in Europe, people spoke of Salahuddin with admiration. He became a symbol of chivalry, a man who fought with honor and ruled with compassion. A king without pride. Salahuddin did not build palaces or collect treasure. He gave away most of his wealth to the poor and to the families of martyrs. When people asked him why, he said, "What good is gold when the heart is rich with faith?" When he ruled Jerusalem, he treated everyone equally. Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived in peace. He reopened the mosques that had been closed, repaired the churches, and made sure justice was fair for all. Even those who once fought against him admitted that his rule brought peace. One Crusader knight said, We fought a man who is greater than any of us, his victory is our honor. The return of the Crusaders. But peace did not last long. When the news of Jerusalem's fall reached Europe, kings and knights from the West prepared another crusade. Among them was King Richard the Lionheart of England, brave, skilled, and determined. When Richard arrived, he and Salahuddin faced each other in several fierce battles. Neither could defeat the other completely. They were equal in strength, courage, and respect. Though enemies, they showed each other honor. When Richard fell sick during one campaign, Salahuddin sent him fruits, ice, and medicine. When Salahuddin's horse was killed in battle, Richard sent him another. Two great warriors fighting for different causes, yet bound by mutual respect. Finally, after years of fighting, they made peace. Jerusalem would remain under Muslim control, but Christian pilgrims would be allowed to visit freely. Both sides agreed enough blood had been shed. And so, the war ended not with victory alone, but with understanding and dignity. The final days. Years later, when Salahuddin grew older, his health began to fade. He had lived a life full of struggle, prayer, and service. One night, lying weak in his bed, he called his son and whispered, "My son, I leave you no treasure, I have nothing but my sword and my faith." And it was true. After ruling vast lands, Egypt, Syria, Palestine, Salahuddin died owning almost nothing. He had given it all away in charity. When they opened his treasury after his death, they found only a few gold coins. The man who had once ruled kingdoms had left the world as humbly as he had entered it. At his funeral, people from all walks of life came, rich and poor, soldiers and scholars, Muslims and Christians. They wept not just for a ruler, but for a man who had reminded the world what true greatness means. The legacy lives on. Centuries have passed, but the name Salahuddin Ayyubi still shines like a light. He taught the world that faith and mercy can live together. That victory without justice is empty. That true power lies not in the sword, but in the heart that holds it. He showed that even in a world of war, a man can choose peace. Even in times of hatred, a man can choose mercy. And perhaps that is why, even today, people remember him not just as a conqueror but as a king of character. Final message. The story of Salahuddin Ayyubi is not just history, it's a lesson. It reminds us that no matter how small our beginnings are, faith and purpose can raise us to greatness. He was born on the night his family was exiled, grew up with no home, and yet became the man who united nations and freed a holy city. He proved that destiny favors those who walk with courage, patience, and kindness. And that is the story of the boy who became a king.